Well,
Okay.
Okay, now we're live.
Now we're live. You know
Yeah.
what though? YouTube is still saying the live event will begin in a few minutes. Let me refresh.
No, it's already live. I'm looking at double checking here. Yeah.
Okay, so you're there and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's so super nice to see you all here. Now we are live. Oh,
Yeah.
yep. There's.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay. Somebody is playing it, and I can hear it echoing.
Yeah. It was me in my phone. Yeah, it's already gone. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, hi everyone. Nope. Guys, I can still hear somebody's.
No, I cannot hear anything, Janet.
Let me. Oh, it's me.
Yeah, I cannot hear it,
me.
Janet. Yeah.
I fixed it. It was me.
Okay.
It was me. I had it playing in my background and I didn't realize it was going to do that.
Yeah, don't worry. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so finally,
okay.
We're live.
We're live. All the tech issues are worked out and we are here and we are live and life is good. So, hello everyone. Today we're here to talk about apps, but first, let's talk about who we are. I'm sure you want to know who's telling you about apps, right? So I'm Janet. I am an English teacher and an English learner. I am learning Spanish, Arabic, and Chinese, and I'm super excited about our topic today. Simone, can you tell us about you?
Yes, I know how excited you've been for this because language learning is your everything. So I'm excited as well. So I grew up not even bilingual, but trilingual, I guess it is. I'm Danish, but I grew up in Denmark and Germany and went to international schools. So I had a bit of all of it. And then I went on to study German, then I became a German teacher, and then I lived in the States for a short while. And now I've been a German teacher for 14 years. I have been a, what's it called? I correct the national test exams for ninth graders.
Wow.
That's around 10 years now. Actually just quit. Yeah. And then I have taught every type of student out there, like everything from like autism to elite sports to future ambassadors, and the Queen's security guard I even taught for a while. So I've had a very wide range of students and that are all in very different stages of their language learning, and also they have different goals. So that's been really interesting because I love teaching. So yeah, and now I'm a life coach and enjoy it, and it's amazing. Well, it's taking me as life as coach, as Janet knows, and it just fills my heart to be able to work with people every single day in one way or another.
Cool.
So
Jessica, what about you?
Yeah, hello everybody. For the ones that you don't know me because this is Janet's channel. My name is Jessica and I'm a Japanese coach. I have been studying Japanese since I have memory and I decided to live my life at my home country and come to live to Japan to follow my dreams. I wanted to be able to have a life here in Japan. So I came here to Japan as an exchange student like 12 years ago. And from then on, I improved with my Japanese. And in fact, my first experience as in my language was to be a waitress in a restaurant. And the people, I didn't know how to speak Japanese. And the people were asking me everything in Japanese and also all the menu in kanjis. Yeah. So it was super challenging, but in that way, like exposing myself, I could get the Japanese language. So I also speak Spanish, obviously, it's my mother tongue, and English.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I never knew that about you. So guys, if you're watching this, we would love to know about you. So let's see, maybe in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. We're super curious.
Yeah, maybe someone is watching from Japan. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Denmark. So far, the only country I know is represented is Argentina. Because one comment has come in from there. But I'll let you guys know if I see any more coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But so today, what we're going to do is we've got some questions that a lot of people have been asking about apps, and we're going to go and answer those. But if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat box in the comments so that we can know what questions you have and maybe be thinking of some answers. But our first question that we had is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of apps? So let's see, Jessica, did we decide, are you going first or am I going first?
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, to tell you the truth, the apps are a very new thing. As I told you, I was studying Japanese since I was little. So the apps are something new that I really have been using now that I know the language, Japanese, just to improve, for example, kanjis and some areas. So my point of view is not as a basic level learner. It will be more an advanced level student. Is well, the advantage of the apps is that you can, well, for me, is that you can bring the apps everywhere you go. You have it in your phone and you can go everywhere. If you have time during the lunch, if you want, for example, for me in the kanjis, I can check the kanjis. It's super easy to use it. And also the vocabulary that is shown, for example, the one that I have been using is Duolingo. That is the one that maybe is more popular. And they have a lot of vocabulary that is super helpful. Sometimes there are too many words and you tend to forget that. So this going through the apps, it helped me, I get update on it. And the disadvantage from my side is that I think they don't update these apps. And like once you finish all the content, well, you don't need to go again, or there's not going to be any updates in the content. You don't learn slang. Something that is required, for example, in Japan is that in the school we learn like the semi-formal form of the Japanese, but we don't get to know the slangs. And if you are living in Japan and you don't know the slangs, maybe you will not understand what they are saying, right? Also, it's a very controlled and static environment. I think it could be a little bit more dynamic. And they have like, it teaches you like a language, in fact, through exercises that, for example, translate from A to B or to B to A, and it's useful to learn new words. But beyond that, it's a little bit of a disadvantage. And of course, they don't have this speak side in which you can develop your conversation, your speech or your conversational level.
Yeah.
That's for me. There's some disadvantages.
Yeah. So Simone, oh, by the way, just to give you an update, we have people watching from Argentina and the Bahamas.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Amazing.
That is great. Oh,
yes.
I'm so jealous.
So Simone, what do you think? Advantages and disadvantages. You've taught a lot of languages, or well, you've taught a lot of students a language.
Yes. German and English I've been teaching for like 14 years now. So, I mean, yeah, I've had well over 1,000 students. So yeah.
Yeah.
Some school years I would have like 250 students. So yeah, it's been a lot.
So what have you seen for advantages and disadvantages of the apps as a teacher?
So I often like to use the apps complementary to teaching. Because with learning a language, it's like most other things in life. Like if you want to run a marathon, you don't just run once and expect to be able to run half a marathon or however long you want to run. You need to exercise and train and eat right and work your way there. And it's the same with language learning. So I often tell my students that we always need at least 2 lessons a week. And the days we're not on, I want them to do something other that relates to the language. This is where I like the apps because what the app lacks is someone correcting your speech, having this conversation with you, giving you the confidence. Because for me, it's always been about helping students create confidence. There's like this stigma around learning German in Denmark that like it's scary, it's the worst language, it's the hardest language. Like there's so many like stories being told, and people are so scared of learning it. And because they're so scared, they're going to be scared to speak German.
Right.
So a lot of what we work on is finding the confidence within them and just getting it out there. And then once it's out there, we can start correcting it. And I mean, if you have an app and it then tells you everything you're doing is wrong, that's not going to help your confidence.
No.
And vice versa, if it tells you everything's right and then you go say it in class and it's not right, I mean, then again, it doesn't really help. So I have like a few different programs and like apps or websites that have really nice complementary teachings, which includes like video, all kinds of stuff, grammar, speaking, whatever. Which is then a really good thing for the days that I'm not seeing my students, because that way it's there, like, you know, you have an app day, you have a running day, you have whatever if you're training. And this is the same thing. You need every single day to kind of be in touch with it in one way or another if you really want to learn it. And that's where I think the apps are great. Because they help you, like, I mean, okay, to be honest, who doesn't bring their phone to the bathroom these days? Yes, everyone does it. So the 5 minutes where we bring our phone to the bathroom, do it then, because then you know you get it done. Because if it's an app on your phone, you can quickly do it. You don't have to complete the task. You don't have to it's not as overwhelming. So I think that's a really great way to keep interacting with the language on a daily basis.
That's awesome. I didn't think about how it keeps everything fresh in your mind. That's a cool point. Yeah. For me, as a learner, especially with Chinese and Arabic, because those are the languages that I started learning after apps were popular. When I learned Spanish, when I started learning Spanish, apps were not a thing. But it's definitely, it's really nice for vocabulary learning. I absolutely agree with you, Jessica. But yes, there's no speaking. And in all of the apps that I've tried that have speaking, the software is not configured correctly. So you can say a word wrong and still have the app telling you you're doing an excellent job. And you're not. I learned that very quickly with Chinese. My teachers were very quick to correct me in that. But I think the biggest, to me, the two biggest things are, other than the corrections that you guys talked about, are you don't have explanations in a lot of apps for the grammar. It's just, this is the right answer, but may not learn the rule. Or if you do learn the rule, there's no one to ask about questions and exceptions. That's really frustrating. That's been very frustrating to me as a learner. I'm doing this, but I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't understand, why it's why it ends in as for this verb and why it ends in es for this other verb, and I don't know the rules, but I'm just answering the right answers without understanding why. Yeah, I don't really love that. And then you don't have the experience of communication, because there's really an art to learning how to get your point across as a beginner. And you can't learn that from an app. You can't learn that from even a language class, honestly.
Yeah.
You can only learn that from being the waitress in the Japanese restaurant, like Jessica said,
like,
and having to communicate, not having a choice.
I agree. Like, it's something about the human relationships that based in exchange give you a great value, right? The cultural insight also of people talking this kind of language. I agree with you. It's super important.
Yeah. Trying to learn language without that is super frustrated. Yeah. Super frustrating.
Yeah.
So the next question we were asked was, what are the best free apps? Jessica, what do you think? Best free
well, for me,
apps.
the best two free apps are like we put in the you can see it in the in the logo, in the thumbnail of this live, is Memorize and Duolingo. But there are many others. For example, there's Hello Talk. There's another app from Japanese that is Obenkyo or Hey Japan, or flashcards. Flashcards I use for the kanjis. But in general, and not just me, the trending is that the main ones are Duolingo and Memorize, right? And also I think Babel, yeah, I think it's another one that is very popular.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you would personally recommend?
I think it depends on, I mean, I'm looking into the Japanese side. I think it depends on what you want to develop, right? You want to study. If you feel that you need a little bit more support with the kanjis, then I recommend this flashcard app. For example, if you want to develop your conversational level, Hello Talk. And if you want grammar and sentences structure, then maybe Duolingo will be a good option.
Awesome. Simone, what do you think?
For me, there's two different ones that I really enjoy. One of them I use for learning Spanish, because I always go on vacation in Spain and I want to feel fancy and order my food in Spanish. So before I go on vacation, I'll always study this app. It's called Busuu, Busuu, I think it is. They also have it with English and other languages and German, and it has this really great combination of some grammar, some really tourist relevant terms and stuff, and then you have to speak, you have to create sentences, different kind of stuff. So it's really well-rounded, but like I said, I don't think it's enough to get you to your goal. You need some help along the way, but it's a really good one. So if you're on a tourist level, I think it's amazing. And if you need it as some support, it's also really great because there's grammar in there as well and all this kind of stuff. And then for German, there's actually this homepage called dw.de, I think, which has a lot of German learning things. And they have this program called Nico's Weg, which means Nico's Way. It's this Spanish guy that comes to Germany and then he loses his bag at the airport kind of thing. And then it's a million episodes of 2-minute videos of him trying to find his bag. And then first you communicate, you have tasks about the words. So you have these new words that you learn. Then there's grammar, then there's speaking. And then you have to repeat a word that they say, but then you have to self-evaluate. So you can be oh, I did great. even though which is, but it moves really quickly and it doesn't really explain the grammar. So it's really great supplementary if you want to learn German for real. If you're one of my German students, that's going to be your homework for sure, because it's a really great supplement. If you do it on your own, you're just going to be confused after 5 episodes. So because it quickly, yeah, exactly, because it very quickly increases in intensity. So I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have support. If you just want to learn on your own, I'd go with Busu. But yeah, I don't actually do that many other apps.
So as a language learner, my favorites that I have ran into are the speaking apps. There are a lot of them out there. There's italki. I downloaded that. I just didn't like it. And then there's Tandem, and there's Hello Talk. And the way these work, and actually, all three of the people leaving comments in this chat are my friends from, two are from Hello Talk, one is from Tandem. Nice. So I think that is super cool. So the way these work are you can search for basically pen pals on these apps, and then you can text each other, you can do audio, and I think on one of the two you can even do video calls. And so that gets you real practice with real people, but you're paired up, or the people that you can search from are people who are learning your language and who speak the language you're learning, so that it's an equal partnership. And then you don't have to worry, like, what if they laugh at me, because they're learning too. So it's like it's a really nice feeling to know that you're both trying for the same goal. And of the two, I would say Hello Talk is the best, because they have two features that on Hello Talk that are not on Tandem. They have moments, which is kind of like a Facebook type of a screen where people post memes. Sometimes people post little lessons. Sometimes people just ask questions like, what is your favorite color? And sometimes they do these little challenges where you're supposed to record yourself answering a question, and the question is different, and you do it for 30 days. There's 30 questions. And second thing that I like about Hello Talks is you can make groups, and some of those groups have meetings on Zoom. So like I'm in a group for English and Spanish speakers where we meet every day at 5 o'clock. Nice. So that's been super fun. Of all of the apps that I've installed, these two have really totally changed my learning experience. I highly recommend that type of app.
Super cool.
That's great.
Oh, we have somebody here from Poland.
Hey.
Ooh, Team Europe.
Very cool.
Getting closer.
So our next question is best paid apps. Jessica, do you have any paid apps that you really like and would recommend?
Yeah, there's for Japanese, there's one app from NHK that helps you like understand very well if you are in the basic level in Japanese, because let's talk also about different levels inside these apps. And definitely for the people that are starting to learn Japanese, I highly recommend NHK. They have NHK is from the like maybe you know it outside Japan, I don't know. It's like main channel, TV channel here in Japan that is usually focused on teach to make people learn something. Like here in Japan, they even teach mathematics in the TV in Japanese. You can
Wow.
put the NHK channel. So they have this program to learn Japanese, and it's they have their app. It's paid version, and I think it's very good. I highly recommend that one.
Neat.
Yeah.
I typed that in the chat box. Simone, what about you? Any you would recommend?
Well, Busuu comes both in a free option and a paid option. And if you just want to order food in a restaurant, go with the free one. It's fine. But if you want to learn something, the paid option, it's not that expensive, and it actually has really great features. So yeah, it helps you kind of also catalog the words you're learning. So you have like an overview of the words, so you can kind of go through them. And there's a lot of extra options that comes with the paid option. And also really nice because it's both paid and free. So you can always test it. And then if you like it, then you can opt in for the paid version.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of like that you can kind of test it and see if it's for you. And if it works for you, then you can go all in.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So the only paid app that I've ever used is Memrise. Memrise is like Busuu. It has the free level and it has the paid level. You can't do a lot on the free level. You master it and you're done. But the thing that I like about Memrise is you learn the vocabulary words in the same manner that you do on Duolingo. It's just, they pronounce the word, they've written the word in the language, and then they put the translation. But as you practice it, they have this little flower that represents how you're learning the language. So it starts out as just like a little seed. As you practice it more and get it right, it grows. But when you're at the stage where it's like a full flower, they often have native speakers saying the phrase to you.
Oh, wow.
And not just one, but they'll have different people saying that phrase to you. So it really is helpful for listening, which is my weakest skill. So I really like that. There's some cons to it. It doesn't give a lot of explanation for grammar. I found that very frustrating. But that listening, the way that they organize that is really nice. So I would recommend Memrise. I paid for it and I'm cheap. So that really says something.
I think that's amazing. Like when I remember I have some meetings and I heard like someone speaking English and they're from the States or they're from UK, and you are just used, for example, I was just used to the US accent, and then someone else start to speak to you in English with another accent. It's super difficult to understand. I mean, me as English as my second language, this is super helpful. I didn't know about this. Super easy.
I noticed that in Memrise you have some options. I don't know if it's for all languages, but I know in Spanish they let you choose between the Spanish of Spain and the Spanish of I don't remember how it's identified, if it's like Central America or South. I don't remember what it was labeled as. I think it was Latin America is what they called it.
You know what? It could be very interesting. Like, I think I told you, like, for example, I have here in Japan another friend from Peru, and we are talking Spanish and we understand each other, but we use to call the same thing. For example, the abogado, she calls it palta. And for example, I called it aguacate. And it's in Spanish, and we are referring to the same thing, but different words. It will be interesting if they could incorporate all these different slangs or words depending on the country, even though it's Spanish, but we use different words to describe the same thing, right?
You know what? I think for fun, one day I'm going to go into the British English,
Yeah.
unmemorize, and just see what's different. I think that would be super fun.
Right?
Well, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
funny. Like this fitness lady that I follow in Australia, and she kept talking about capsicum. I'm like, what is she talking
What is
about?
that?
Like, what is it? It's peppers.
Oh,
Would have never guessed. Never, ever, ever. Yeah. So
wow. That's one I haven't heard. We talk in one of my groups, we talk a lot about different words in different countries, but I don't think we have anyone from Australia yet. So I haven't
yeah,
heard that one.
I know.
Hmm,
It's crazy. Yeah.
that's neat. Oh, the big question. The big question.
Which one?
What do you think about Duolingo and would you recommend it to anyone? Do. Jessica, what do you think?
Well, but I think Duolingo is definitely valuable and makes the process much easier of learning. But using it exclusively will not teach you the language sufficiently. I think that Duolingo as a complement in your learning, it's a good tool because maybe Duolingo consists of a grammar translation method that do not approach the creative part of learning, language learning. And so I think that Duolingo, I will recommend it maybe as as a complement, just a complement of your classes, your classroom classes. But if you are doing like self-study, it's a great place to start, just to get to understand, for example, in Japanese, the feeling of what is Japanese, this the hiragana and katakana. So if you are starting, it's a good starting point. But if you want to go to the next level in your language, I think this is not going to be like just using it. It will not be the key. The key will be complemented with a formal classes with a teacher, and then use it as a complement.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I like that as a complement to your class.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Simone, what do you think?
I completely agree. You need the um
Sorry.
you need like a classroom or one-on-one teacher to help and support you, but I think it's a great supplement for the days where you don't have classes. According to one of the theories we studied when I was studying to become a teacher, you need to meet a new word between 5 and 16 times before you understand it and before you can remember it. So in class, like, there's a limit to how many like hours you have class and how much you can maybe afford if you're paying for it yourself and that kind of stuff. So to get that 5 to 16 times with all of the words that you need to spread it out even more. So you need that extra something, and that extra something, Duolingo is a really great thing. Also, all of the grammar, it's not just like, okay, now I understand it, now I got it. You kind of need to like keep using it, and eventually it makes sense once you keep using it and can kind of relate it to your own rules or your other languages and that kind of stuff. So it really supports that part of the language learning, which is great, but I wouldn't do it on its own.
Yeah, you're right. Like when I start using it, and it didn't make sense in some parts until later on that I learned, and then I rewatch that part and I say, now I understand. But really, you need to understand first, then use it to practice, right? Yeah,
exactly. So I don't love Duolingo. It's not my favorite thing ever.
okay.
But it does have a use, and that is for the languages that have characters that go with a word. I do have to give credit to Duolingo For Chinese, it is the best app that's applicable to more than one language for learning characters. It really focuses a lot on helping you to get to know the characters and to memorizing the characters, not just the English translation, like what does this mean, but what is the character to go with it. So if you speak an Asian language better than you write it, this is a good way to improve your reading and your reading of the characters. So for that, I would recommend it. For Arabic, because they do a good job of teaching you the letters and sounds in a language that has a writing system different than yours. However, I would not recommend it for European languages that have the same alphabet as yours. I didn't find it, I found it frustrating and not helpful because you can't match it with what you're learning, because Duolingo goes in a certain order and you can't get past where you're at. So if you've learned the alphabet and food, those are the only two things that you can practice. So if in class you're learning about actions and actions is down here, you can't use Duolingo to practice your actions until you've done all these other things. I find that very frustrating.
Makes sense.
So that's my thoughts on Duolingo. The next question that we've been asked, can Duolingo make you fluent?
Okay, but first, I want to say, what does it mean fluent? Because, like being fluent, if you mean like learning enough to speak slowly with people when you are traveling, or to understand the signs in the street, or to read headlines of newspapers, or understand the TV, what does it mean, right? Like to be fluent, right? In a language.
Right. And before we go to the rest of this question, I just saw that we have 2 answers from the viewers. Perry said she would recommend it. It's very helpful. And Amelia said, I think it's a nice app to start learning a language, but only for the beginning. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally.
But yes, fluent, what does that mean?
Right.
Fluent can mean a lot of things to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very subjective topic, right? Maybe the people also that is watching can tell us what is fluent for them, right? For me, fluent, what for me when I came to Japan, what meant fluent for me was to be professional, have a professional competence in the language, so I could go to be hired in a Japanese company. So, but I don't know, right?
And that is not what my answer would be. My answer would be for Spanish, fluent to me means I can communicate my thoughts and my feelings and be easily understood and be able to easily understand news, people talking, music, what's coming back. So different, because you're going to be using your Japanese in a professional capacity. I don't ever intend to use Spanish as in my profession, particularly. Yeah. I would be using it for communication.
Yeah. So my answer to that, given that for me, fluent means to have a professional competency, I would say that Duolingo is definitely valuable and make the process much easier, but using it exclusively will not teach you the enough language to be able to be competitive in your professional or in your career. So you must need to complement Duolingo by all means with other kinds of other classes, and especially for speaking, that when you're at work here in Japan, by the way, in Japan, when you want to work, you need to use a very high, very polite Japanese that is not even talked in the schools in Japan. You need, even the Japanese, when they go out from school in the university, after the university, they learn Keigo is the name of this language. When they go out and when they are newbies in the companies, they are very afraid because they don't know how to speak this Keigo, and they start learning like working, right? But they nowadays there are a lot of courses in which you can learn this Keigo. So definitely Duolingo doesn't have Keigo. So if you want to learn, if you want to learn to attain any, if you want to work in Japan, then definitely just use it. Duolingo will not be your way to go.
No, for sure. That's really interesting.
Yes.
So Perry answered us before we go to Simone. Perry said you should be able to speak the target language just as good as you speak in your native language, or even speak the target language better than your native language. And she said actually not just speak, but speak, listen, read, and write.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense. Simone, what do you think?
Yeah, again, fluent. What is fluent? Like, I think I'm somewhere in between you guys, because to me, fluent, I would need to be able to use it professionally, one way or another. But I don't think an app alone will get you there. If fluent is me going to Spain, once again, my favorite dish in Spanish, and trying to like have these nice small chats with the cleaning ladies. I mean, yes, that will help me get there. But if you want to use it in your profession and in real life, where you can't just rehearse, thank you, I want extra fries. And yeah, I love fries. I can't run away from that. Then you need more than an app like Duolingo. So I mean, it depends. What is your goal? And what is fluent? So is it not feeling guilty that you keep going to Spain and still don't speak the language, or do you actually want to move there and have a profession there and live and work and breathe and just exist within this language? Because then I don't think it's enough.
I would absolutely agree with both of you. I think there are benefits, definitely benefits to apps, but you really need the correction. You need the correction to your pronunciation. You need those corrections that say, yes, this is the rule, but here are the exceptions. And I don't think that there is any way for an app to accomplish that.
Yeah, to tell you true, for example, in pronunciation, this is a very important point for me as a coach in Japanese, because in Spanish, the J, for example, we make jota, the sound of jota, and in Japanese, the pronunciation is like an I. So whenever I was reading something in Japanese, I was trying to use my Spanish pronunciation. And then at the end, nobody in Japan could understand me when I was using the J, because it was not the correct pronunciation. So definitely have a correction in your pronunciation is very cool. And someone that makes you see, wait, this is not Spanish, this is not English, this is a totally new pronunciation, even for the ABCs. And then you need to learn it. Yeah, the correction is very important.
With Chinese, your words have tones, so that you might get higher or lower. And I constantly was corrected by my teachers about the tone that goes down, because it changes the meaning of the word. If you hold it out too long. Americans speak a little more slowly, I would say, than Chinese speakers do. And if you do it wrong, it changes the meaning. And that would be very hard for an app to correct something that is small, but makes such a giant difference.
Yeah.
It's actually funny because females have more of a tendency to go higher. So we need that even more. Whereas I'm not sure why, but apparently the male brain is better at, like sentences that you want to start the sentence going up, then kind of sail out and then go down towards the end. Whereas females keep going up and then we go up and then we go up.
Going down sharply is really hard for me. I feel like I'm yelling at you because the example they give is tell somebody no. Well, like I'm talking about like cats. I don't want to yell at you and tell you no.
Yeah.
But that's how it really was very difficult for me. It's still difficult for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're watching this, I'm going to remind you that you can ask us questions about apps if you have any. We're going to answer one more question, and then we will see if we have any questions from you guys. So, can Duolingo help you pass a language test? Ooh. Jessica, what do you think?
Which level? Okay. So in Japanese, there's a test called the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficient Test, in short. And we have 5 different levels. The higher level is the number 1, and the lower level is the number 5. So to tell you the truth, to take this test, by the way, that we were talking about it, this test doesn't have this speaking section. You have the listening, the grammar, and the reading section. And to tell you the truth, even me learning in a classroom every day in Japan, I first try the second level, not the first level. The second level, the first time that I tried, I failed. And why? Because this test is about time. You need to answer like a question in about 30 seconds. And you have like 20 minutes for about, I don't know, many questions. I don't remember right now how many, but
it stresses me out.
You need to answer fast. So you need to also understand your tactic with the test, like taking the time, learning, knowing which kind of questions you will have in that test. So it's not just your what you know about the language, but also what is your tactic to apply for that test. After I applied for this test and I failed, I knew what I needed to improve, like my reply time or my answer timing. So I try. There are specific books for this, and then time I pass very well. I was like, oh, thank you. It was not my knowledge. In fact, it was not my knowledge, but it was because of the pressure of the test. It was the pressure of being able to answer all these questions in a short time that made me not able to pass. So definitely, just Duolingo will not be the answer to in case of the JLPT to pass the test. You also need some complementary material that is similar format of the test, so you can prepare in both areas, your tactics in the test and your knowledge in the test.
Simone, what you have more experience with tests of German, correct?
I have so much experience. Yeah. I think I corrected more than 10,000 German exams. So
oh my gosh. Wow.
It's a journey. Well, the thing I always tell everyone is remember a test shows you your level at a certain moment, and it shows you how well you are taking tests. Because that's different for all of us. So first of all, I want to say one test may be great for you and another test may not be. And for me, like I said, it's a lot about the mindset and preparing you and getting the courage for you. So for me, the apps will not prepare you for this. What I like to do is I give my students a lot of exercises that are similar to what the exam will be like. So that once the exam finally comes, they're like, oh, it's just like a regular class with you. So that they are so tested in it. If it's an oral exam, and we keep testing the same things again and again and again, like we keep finding new literature to do the same exercises with the analysis and all of that. So they just instantly know, okay, I always start out with explaining this, and then I go on to this, and then you need a strategy. And the app is never going to give you that strategy. And once you have the strategy, you need to really be able to implement it so that you know it by heart and you're good with it. And then you can still be nervous, or you can have an amazing day and actually say a bunch of BS. But
right.
Some teachers are like, yes, you did good.
Right.
So all very different. And what test are you taking? What level are you aiming for? I mean, in German, we have a German language test from Goethe Institute, which is kind of like the international test for how good is your German. And then there's different levels. A, 1 and 2 is beginner. B, A and 2 is intermediate. And then you have C, 1 and 2, which is fluent in mother tongue. And I mean, what if you don't understand a question? Because the question is formulated in a weird way, not because you don't understand the content, but it's formulated really oddly. Like, so then like the app is not going to help you prepare for this kind of situation. So always remember, an exam has so many elements that can throw you off. So have a teacher prepare you for what's going to happen, because anything can happen. And then are you going to panic? Or are you ready for it?
Right. And I definitely agree. For the test of English especially, both the TOEFL and the IELTS both require speaking. And speaking is the weakness of Duolingo and back and forth conversation. So I think specifically for English, Duolingo would help you to be able to understand the vocabulary that you're reading. It would help you to be able to write with better grammar. It would help you to have a little more competence in listening. But the speaking portion is not going to be addressed by Duolingo. So again, it goes back to Duolingo is a great complement, not a great standalone. So yeah. Oh, let's see. So we have some answers. Perry said, no, it can't, not by itself. And Amelia said, I think you can write on the writing and speaking in HelloTalk if you have good app mates. And that's definitely true. That's definitely true. My speaking and my listening have improved dramatically. I mean, keep in mind, my listening was really, really low when I started, and it's still low, but not like it was. It's definitely helped a lot.
You're not watching telenovelas and eating popcorn.
No, I don't have time in my life for telenovelas. I did, however, finish the La Casa de Papel, Money Heist in English, but I watched it all in English. I didn't watch it in Spanish. So no real help to my Spanish level there, but it was a really good series. I started out to watch it in Spanish, but it was so hard. I couldn't do it.
I just want to learn to watch telenovelas one day. That is like life goal. Learn Spanish.
Right?
Popcorn, be like, what happened?
I know. If I could watch La Casa de Papel in Spanish, that would be fluency. That would be fluency to me. Yes, watching it in Spanish, understanding it completely, I would feel so fluent. That would be amazing.
Oh, so funny. Yeah.
So let's check and see if we have any more comments. No questions from our audience. So
all the questions.
maybe the questions that we had were the ones that people really needed. So I wrote in the comments links to 3 things. So there's a link for Simone's site where you can learn about her mastermind coaching. If you are looking at starting a business or just changing the direction of your life, definitely check out Simone's site. Jessica's group, she has a Facebook group for people who speak Spanish and learn Japanese, right?
Yes.
So the link to that is in our comments. And Joe is not here for this month's meeting, but we talked about IELTS and TOEFL, the test for English. Joe has a group that is specifically for people to practice their speaking. So I went ahead and I put that in our comments. Clearly, you know where my YouTube is. I have a second YouTube that I will put a link down below to, but I can't get to my second YouTube channel, the one that's about how I learn languages, while I'm on this one. So
yeah, by the way, I also have a YouTube channel, but maybe we'll put the link later. Yeah.
Yeah, Jessica, if you could put your link down, that would be awesome. Yeah. You probably have the same problem though, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. I bet maybe I can do that while we're talking. So let's see. So for next month, we'll be doing a YouTube live like this on October 26th, right, Jessica?
Yes.
Same time, I think same place, right?
It will be a different link, yeah, but you will see the preview. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be posting links everywhere to direct you to where you need to be. And our topic for next month will be self-study. That's super exciting.
Yeah, it's super interesting because in Japanese, for example, in Latin America, for example, you cannot easily find Japanese teachers. So this is super useful. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great, and that's really I've done a lot of learning through self-study, so that's a topic that's really interesting to me.
Looking forward your comments. Yeah.
And let's see, I'm writing now the link to your YouTube channel, Jessica.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jessica's YouTube. So if you are learning Japanese, or if you're super interested in anime, that would be the YouTube for you to go and check out. She does unboxing and the lotteries.
Yeah. I have 2 channels. One is
cool.
the Japanese one. I mean, one is where I teach Japanese and Spanish, and the second one is for anime. But
I put the anime. Link.
It's okay. Maybe later I will put it down. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't think I know where your Japanese learning channel is actually.
Yes, okay. Don't worry, we'll put the link.
Yeah, sorry about that. And Gisela said it's very difficult to find a Japanese teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So the next YouTube live will be October 26th about self-study, and we hope to see everyone there.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, it was very nice to see you guys, and I hope this was very helpful for you and guide you into this up journey.
Yes.
Now you understand what is useful for these apps or what is not. So hopefully this was helpful for all the people that are watching.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, I think it's already the goodbye part. Okay, guys.